This was the original site of Biscaro's first home. Obviously must have been a much more humble affair than that. And this was the square he laid out. Martin Square.
Around fauna of Peru, he discovers a beautiful stone which belongs to the very ancient culture named Chavin. This stone has the face of a jaguar, feet of eagle, and snakes coming from the hair. So we have just got them to almost everything. They are coming back because here we don't have fall. So all the time the leaves are falling and coming up, back again. If we don't do that, this becomes a jungle. Count is a house of 16th century. It was the Count of Sant Isidro house. As a matter of fact, we are on his properties of the Count of Sant Isidro. He was the last owner of the olives you see here around. One of the companions of Francisco Pizarro, Nicolás de Rivera the Old, bought 100 trees in Spain, and from those 100, only 3 arrived here. From the 3 that he has, one got stolen, and he started even to persecute even his own friends to the thief, but he couldn't find it. So he talked with the archbishop, and the archbishop put excommunication to the thief. And not even with excommunication, he got the thief, but it was some years later, about 6 years later, that the man who was excommunicated knew about it. That was the worst thing that could have happened to a human. So he came back and gave in the same secret way that he stole it, he gave the tree. The secret writer says that he recuperated all his losses because this man put 3,000 euros as a compensation. These olives that you have seen are the oldest olive trees in the Americas. Many of the other districts of Lima, they hire these watchmen. They are paid very little. On your left, in a few seconds, you will see a White House. This White House is a reproduction of the government palace, but in miniature. Somebody who has had presidential ambitions, but has never been appointed to become a candidate. So he makes his mini palace to console himself. This one, what they are talking, some persons there, is for sale now. stoning process. We're going to stop here. The statue is very obvious. I would say very timid if you compare what we are going to see this afternoon. My goodness.
This is the Pacific. This is a park called Parque del Amor, facing the Pacific Ocean, here in Lima. Today is Monday, the 17th of July. We are on our way to the famous gold museum in Lima. This morning we saw the monastery of St. Francis and the Plaza de Armas, which is the main plaza in Lima. We just went on a commercial around Lima. And tomorrow morning we will have the pleasure of getting up at 3 to catch on a plane to Cusco. We are already shattered as it is, and the pockets under our eyes are growing bigger and bigger every day. I don't know how it's going to be by the end of the week. And we're going to be total wrecks. This is Monday, the 17th of July, and it's 6:30 in Lima, and this is our last night. We are leaving tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock to get to the airport to go to Cusco. We will be coming back to this hotel on Sunday, I think. Yeah, Sunday. But this is the view of our bungalow with the jacuzzi. When we come back, we'll have a different room.
And the hill is very tall there, but there's a sort of funicular railway that goes to the top. We haven't had time to go yet. And the little village is over that way somewhere. So that's the main office over that way. It's dark very, very early here and very suddenly. This is the on-site bakery. Just behind that are the restaurants and the cafeterias. We're eating early tonight because we've got to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning, ready to go to the airport at 4. Little conference centre down there.
That's a very nice thing. I didn't notice it this. This is great.
So this is our little pueblo, or whatever you would call it, hacienda. Looks fine. Going nicely. Little kitchen area. And the bedroom. Plenty of cupboards. Bathroom. Television up in the corner. And there's the jacuzzi below. My curtain. And
This is our last night, as I said before, and we are absolutely shattered. We've got about 5 hours sleep before we leave tomorrow.
what day and what year is it?
I've already said it before when we were walking.
Okay, say again, because this is a new tape.
Monday, this is Monday, the 17th of July,
Year 2000.
year 2000. And this is our last night at the Pueblo. We're flying tomorrow at 4. We are leaving tomorrow at 4, getting up at 3. And we have a very, very busy day tomorrow in Cusco because we're visiting a village, we are visiting a potter, we are visiting a house. We've got lots
God
of
knows
things
what,
to do.
lots of things.
We should finish by tomorrow midnight, and the day after, of course, we're going to Cusco
And we might have
and
the
Machu Picchu,
heightened sickness.
which is about 6
Don't
o'clock.
say anything in French while we are speaking.
Aujourd'hui, le 17 juillet, nous allons quitter Lima demain matin. Nous allons quitter l'hôtel à 4 heures pour prendre un avion à 6h30 pour aller à Cusco. Et à Cusco, bien sûr, c'est à côté de Machu Picchu. Donc, demain, nous avons une journée vraiment, vraiment chargée à Cusco, qui ne finira pas probablement avant 10 heures du soir. Et le lendemain, nous allons à Machu Picchu. Nous risquons aussi d'avoir des problèmes d'altitude. Donc, nous allons absolument crever. Les cernes commencent à s'agrandir de plus en plus. Elles vont bientôt arriver aux lèvres. Mais c'est les vacances.
A world different, totally different from Lima. Yeah, that's right. Actually, in Peru, we got 3 Perus. We got the coast out there, we got the highlands, different, and you got the jungle area, different again, right? That's why it's kind of hard to unite these 3 countries in one. Anyway, we're happy enough because those are the guys out down there in the lowlands, and the other one in the lowlands, and we're up here in the mountains, right? Different from Lima, we don't have any high rises here. It's all small houses. I think our tallest building is something like 7-story high, and that's about it. Because here in the Andes Mountains, we got all of these tremors all the time. Right? It's said that every year in the Andes Mountains, you get something like 2,000 mini tremors that only the machines sense. But then every once in a while, you get one that everybody senses, right? 200,000 people, the largest town in the Andes Mountains. When this town was the capital of the Inca Empire, it had a population of like 200,000 people. We're talking about the 1500s, and this town had a population of 200,000 people. And it must have been one of the largest cities in the world. And for sure, it was the largest city in the Americas. Of course, this was the capital city of the Inca Empire. In fact, the name Cusco comes from this Quechua word, Cusco, which means the navel of the world, the belly button of the world. And of course, Cusco was the center of the Inca universe in South America. Quechua was the language that the Incas used to speak, and it's the kind of language that they impose all over South America. In Peru at present, we got two native tongues, two indigenous tongues. In most of Peru, it's Quechua, and then by the Lake Titicaca area to the south and Bolivia, it's Aymara. So we got these two ones, Quechua and Aymara. Right? When you're in Cusco, when you're born in Cusco, naturally you speak Quechua. It's just in the air. Even if you don't speak Quechua, I mean, some of the words just come natural to you, because still up to 30%, well, no, not that much, up to probably 20% of the Spanish we speak in Cusco, it's got all these Quechua words. You already know some Quechua words, like llama or alpaca or condor. Those are Quechua words, right? Well, the one that probably you didn't know that it was Quechua, it's actually quinine or quinine. The actual word was a Quechua word, quina quina, and from quina quina, it transformed into quinina in Spanish and quinine in English, right? One of the preferred building materials that we have here is adobe, this mud brick. It's quite flexible, it's warm inside, so we still use it like we did 500 years ago. It's the perfect material for tremors and earthquakes, because your house is just swings from one side to the other. And if after the earthquake there's some cracks, you use some more mud, patch it, and that's it. Nothing. Maybe use thatch roofs. Yeah, it was thatch roof, strong, right? So it's all burnt. And the staircases, which are quite common here in Cusco, just going up the mountain, because I mean we live on the mountainside. And also, as you might understand, because of that inclination, we got lots of erosion that takes place here. That's why one of the reasons why we got eucalyptus trees all over the area, planted all over, just to prevent erosion. Of course, the eucalyptus are not indigenous to these mountains. It said that they were imported by the British companies that built the railroads, most of the railroads in Peru in the 1930s. They needed some good wood for the sleepers, so they imported eucalyptus trees, and now they're spread all over the area, and it's our main timber. We're something like 160 miles away from the Pacific Ocean on a straight line, or somebody might say, as the condor flies. Here in the Andes Mountains, the farther you go south, the higher it gets. This is the other way around. Here in the southern hemisphere, it's always up south and down north. So all the rivers flow down north. And the farther you go south, the higher it gets. The highest mountain in the range is the Aconcagua Mountain, something like 23,000 feet high, between Chile and Argentina to the south there.
Let's just go down in the valley. We're up now on the rim of the mountain. They're going to take us down to a lower altitude than Cusco so we can get acclimatised. Our bodies are still full of oxygen at this stage, so it hasn't hit us yet.
For a game, they came all the way down, and it seems that they like the mountains better than the coast or the jungle area. Even though it's much colder. But I suppose, I mean, like, as to fertile land, lots of it. Lots of mountains, lots of rivers. In fact, the coast only survived out of all the water that comes down to the atmosphere. The biggest one there, that the Dream and River out here, the whole of the town, Muy bien, should we go? Vamos? Should we carry on? Vamos?
Deteriorate if it was kept in captivity. So they always would live it wild. There are some Inca sites. When we get back to Cusco, we're going to visit all of these sites. It is known as Tenko over here, of the Maquecho words. The llamas and the alpacas are still. Those are all llamas, see? All of them are llamas. Yeah, this one over here, the one with the mouth open, that's an alpaca. That's shorter, squatter. The one in the back also, that's an alpaca. All these here are llamas.
Anybody for a picture?
Llama backs at a time when the Spanish were vainly seeking fortunes along the Caribbean shores there. And of course, I mean, these animals were the main means of transport in the Andes Mountains. They would carry everything in Inca time. You got a farming community right here already. Or the top of a hill, like here, they just built a fortification on the top of it, just to defend themselves, especially because their favorite way of defense was hurling rocks on the enemy. So if we're at a high level, it was easier. And also, if you are at a high level, aiming with a sling.
There's something that identifies the Inca architecture, no matter where you are. Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Argentina, Chile. If you see some trapezoidal niches, these openings, narrower at the top and wider at the bottom, the trapezium, that's unmistakably Inca architecture. Out of all the cultural elements that the Incas developed, the one that's truly theirs is the trapezoidal shape out there. So that's an Inca fortification out there. So you're gonna
years, the production went down, as you might understand. But then on the other hand, 50% of the population was giving back its self-respect. And ever since, the word Indian is not used as a derogative term anymore. Indian is a word you respect at present. Before 1969, it was déclassé to be an Indian. You wouldn't wear anything out of alpaca because it would identify you with the Indian population. It's changed the whole thing.
it's so in to be an Indian, this Indian. And if it's gentle enough, they use either tractors or oxen. But most of the time it's on a distinct mountainside, so still the work is done manually. You get this sort of manual agriculture.
We're just past the highest point, about 12,000 feet. Now we're dropping down into this valley. Just a few years ago, the Indians were given back their land, and in the ancient family memories, they all remembered who owned which plot of land. So it was redivided back amongst families. So each plot is a different family. Before that, it was owned by the state and by the original families that had inherited it from the conquistadors, and then the military government handed it back.
Before the Spanish introduced their own animals, like the chickens and the cows, we didn't have any milk or eggs here. But then they have some very nutritious grains here that would just provide us with all the proteins that we needed. You can see they're building a house out of adobe. Yeah, adobe. And this is the time to build your house, and this is the time to make adobes, because it doesn't rain, and you expect the sun to dry the adobes out in the open. Usually it takes them like 3, 4, 5 days for the adobe to totally dry. It's never fine. You got some lima beans, broad beans here. Probably just mashed them. Some more mud. Yeah, some more mud. And then on the outside you got plaster, and you got cement. Like this house over here, this side, it's plaster. One feed the animals. Cutting the oats out here. Here in the Andes Mountains, the altitude is more important than the temperature. Temperature hasn't changed that much, but we come down the mountain a little bit. Vegetations are already getting lusher. And that's why sometimes in one mountain side you can have all these different climates. They have the so-called micro niche environment affordable. Like at home. If you use a lot of electricity, you pay something like average of something like $30 a month. That means that you got your stove, you got hot supplies, you got a refrigerator, probably you got a heater, you got a water heater, right? It's something like $30 a month. Look at the mountains there on your left. I mean, you got some patches on the mountainside there, very steep. Of course, the farmers not different from tourists. They get up very early in the morning. Some like 4 o'clock in the morning they do. And then they have breakfast something like 4 or 5 in the morning. Then afterwards they go up the mountainside and they work on the mountainside. And late in the afternoon they come back to their homes. They don't build their houses like their patches. Most of the time they live in towns in the valleys. You got Snow-Capped Mountain out there.
That's known as Sawa Sinai and Pitu Sinai, just because it's got two peaks. Sawa Sinai and Pitu Sinai. Those are two picture words that mean feminine sex and masculine sex. And of course, I mean, like, there's a legend, a romantic legend behind it, all the way to Machu Picchu tomorrow. We want to follow this river. So this is the so-called sacred valley of the Incas, just because the Incas believed that the river was a sacred river for them.
Traer un sombrero.
Una foto, caramba. Chupete.
Karina Wilson. Hazla así, mira así.
That's the way they look. From here, they don't look that big. They're something like 18 feet wide by 18 feet high. Those terraces out there. And down at the bottom, at the foot of the mountain, you got the town of Pisac, famous for its market. That town is famous for its market. So on Thursday morning, we're going to be coming here for the market. The pre-Hispanic town of Pisac used to be on the top of the mountain where you have all the farming terraces. On top of the mountain, there used to be a population of something like 3,000 people. And when the Spanish arrived, they found it hard to go up the mountain and control the Indians up there. So they forced them to live down in the valley, and they started the present town of Pisac. Of course, after independence, the communities have gone back to the mountainside and still living on the mountainside. And the town has remained also. It's famous for its market. The people in Pisac are famous for being potters. That's why all this pottery just comes from that town down there. That's why it's very affordable. It's all over. Dishes, plates, whistles, everything. It's basically the river. It's alluvial, what you call alluvial valleys. That's why when you look at both sides of the mountain, like if you compare this side of the mountain with the other side of the mountain, you're going to be able to see the strata that coincides. You have the same strata here on the other side. Here. They say it's for statistical purposes that you're going to hand in a list with the names of all the passengers there. Most of the time these dances represent Spanish characters. Like here, they're supposed to be Spanish lawyers. That's why they're dressed like the Spanish and they got their books, their law books there under their arms. Let's see.
¿Cuánto iba? A las 4 de la tarde del sábado y el domingo estaba a las 4 de la tarde. El sábado a domingo.
The commoners have to work in the lands of their religion, and of course the produce out of the lands of their religion was used to support the religious class, and also some of this produce was burned as an offering to the different gods. I mean, you had your own piece of land, and of course you had to work your own piece of land. Well, this is something like a trap also, because most of these teachers and doctors eventually get married, have some kids, and they never leave the community. That's the way you go. Cuba, right? Usually when you go up to the snow line to hunt for deer, you're likely to find pumas. But of course, as long as you don't bother them, they don't care about humans.
Vamos,
See, the Incas believed in three worlds. They believed in the upper world, this world, and the lower world. The upper world, known as Hanamacha for them, was the world of gods, or godlike, like the Inca Emperor. And the one animal that represented the upper world was the condor, because it flies so high. On the road, with something red at the end, right here on your left, there's one stick right here. Oh, you're going to be able to see all these sticks. Those are the signs for the local chicha pubs. Chicha is a fermented-based beer drink that we have here. So whenever you see any of those signs out there, you know that you can always go in there and buy a glass about that big for something like half a sol. 3 glasses of those, and you become anonymous. You don't even remember your name. Kids drink it. Because the first thing, when it's just made, it's not alcoholic. On the other hand, it's beef oil, and it's got lots of corn in it. So it's nutritious to some extent. So the kids, it's given to the kids instead of drinking water out the springs that sometimes might not be that.
Now entering the town of UK, which is where we're going to be staying tonight.
Your name, your passport number, and your signature.
do you want to do?
Gift shop? That's what you're looking for, is it? For what taxi could be?
¿Vas a venir? ¿O te voy a mandar? Yeah, this is Tuesday, the 18th of July. We've arrived in the Andes, and this hotel is in Yucay, 2,100 meters, and it's called Posada del Inca, to acclimate us to the altitude, because tomorrow we're going to Machu Picchu and it's 3,800 meters.
And here we are. Not too bad at all. Bathroom.
One night here, yeah?
Yep, I think so. Yes. One.
is an 80% the native tongue, but then eventually they introduce the kids into Spanish. Especially because, I mean, there are lots of vocabulary that cannot be translated into Quechua. You wet it, and then you wait for the corn to sprout, which means that the starches have already turned into sugars. So then after that, you grind the corn. Most of the time you just do it manually. Even though in the case of this lady, I think she's got a grinder, right? You can see the grinder. The problem with the chicha is that it keeps on fermenting after you drink it. It keeps on fermenting your stomach, right? So you get drunker. It does. Because I mean, like all the men around here, the skill that they get from drinking is that it's good for the prostate because it's diet. And of course, this is what they give them to eat, just this mush, this corn mush. There's little tiny ones out there. These are the baby ones. And they got the big ones out there, ready to be sacrificed.
How are they cooked?
Like pork. Like pork. What they do is, first they kill them, and they like twist the neck. Then they boil them, just to pluck the hair. Then they shake them. After they open it, they get all the entrails. Just by the way, I mean, we eat all the entrails. I mean, we even make sausage out of the tribes out there. And then you just stuff it with herbs, and you put it in the oven. Yeah, well. Seems that you're kind of regular with these kind of models. They're nice ways. That's great. That's good. Water supply or whatever. But they not quite a climate right here. Because the mountainside. Because if you got to go up the mountain early in the morning, you actually need a little bit of coca leaves to give you some energy. Right? How the Incas buried their people. But first, I probably should tell you that the Incas didn't believe in reincarnation, but they believed in afterlife. And because they believed in afterlife, they believed that they were going to need their bodies for this afterlife, and that's the reason why they mummified all of their bodies. Not just the people of the ruling class, but everybody mummified. It's a huge mountainside. You can always come down if you want to. In Pisa, for example, there's a huge mountainside. Lots of farming terraces. The Incas were always aggrandizing and enlarging their agricultural horizon. In this valley alone, they figure out that there are enough farming terraces that if you could possibly take the stones out of all the farming terraces from Pisa to Machu Picchu, then you would have enough stones to build a stone wall 3 feet high that could go all around the earth. Just to give you an idea of the amount of construction that they did in this valley. Here we're going to get off the bus, just so you can see the remains of what used to be an Inca hanging bridge, and also you're going to be able to take a picture of the whole valley with the river in the center. And not just here on the other side, also look at that wall.
The whole that was an Inca road. Built 500 years ago just to channel everything.
So this is the site of an old Inca bridge. The stonework under there is original Inca. Obviously that's a modern bridge been put on top. In crossing point. And the building up there that looks yellow was an Inca storehouse for food when the soldiers were passing by. Had to be kept high because of the dampness, the humidity lower down.
The Quechua language is very, like English, is very onomatopoeic, I think you call it. Right? And the typical example that they give you at the university is that, how do you say a rock came down the mountain and into the water in Quechua? And you think of all these complicated grammatical structures, and then it's an easy way to say it. You go, roko, fruiting. That's it. I mean, you just explain that the rock came down the mountain and into the water around here. Quite a simple that's coming from the jungle area. Those guys have been on that bus for something like 5 hours already. We have something like 100,000 people out there in the jungle area. The town is something like 2 hours beyond Machu Picchu. And every single year, the landslide, the railway is blocked, so it just goes by car. We're gonna walk around the town so you can see a little bit more of all these Inca remains.
To see a statue dedicated to the general that gave his name to this town. There you get that statue of Inca. It's a Inca general.
See up there the more of the Inca warehouses.
But in other words, lately it's known as Ollantaytambo, just because that's the general there that defended this town. You got the fortress over to that side, and then here you got the warehouse on the mountainside, and you got the town itself. The fortress out there was built to protect this town. In case this town was in danger, the people from this town could just move to the fortress and take refuge there. Because it's kind of against logistics to have. The portal, trapezoidal portal, over here, trapezoidal portal. It just took the lintels here. And also, that's the original design by all the houses. This is water from the glacier. That's cold water. In Inca times, this was the water for drinking. It was potable water. Right now, it's just for irrigation and washing. Right. They got potable water into their house. You got the piping out there just coming into the houses there, running water into their houses. The Inca times are very convenient. If you were living in a place like this, you just every morning come out here, just get some water out of the river, and you had enough water for your breakfast right there. Each one of these blocks of here, known as canchas, were meant for two families. One family that had access to this street, and the other family that had access to the other street on the other side. And the same with this one over here, and the two of them share the water right there. Sorry? Yeah, they've seen many earthquakes. Let's come a little bit closer over here. Because the whole of the town has been restored, and that's why you can see all of these streets out there. Just long streets, very straight right here. And you're going to see another characteristic of the Inca architecture is that inward inclination. All of the walls have got this inward inclination, like here or here, right? They're battered. And it's said that probably the Inca architects would build at first their walls perpendicular to the ground, and maybe because of all the earthquakes that they had here, the side walls tended to open outwards, so they decided to have this inward inclination, and they developed that trapezoidal shape that that seems had a special fascination for them. When you look at the streets here, you can see that they got electricity. Comes through the water right there. You got an old Inca house here, still being used by the people in town. Look at the buildings all around, like that house, that's an Inca house there. Look at the portals out there, trapezoidal, the lintels on top, like here. Because they blocked part of it, just so they could have some swinging doors. The same back here, another Inca wall right here. Still, I mean, because it's brand new right here. And you can hear all the guinea pigs inside. All these people over here sell some handicrafts, so they welcome people in their homes, so don't feel like intruders. You can always just walk into here if you want to. See some guinea pigs, how they live. No, no hay ningún problema. Esto lo llevo traído, porque a veces no. And then you can see the inside of this house over here. Totally Inca. You got those niches out there. So probably this is the way the Incas lived in their houses. They're pretty comfortable.
Did they sleep in here?
No, they got some rooms outside. But this is their kitchen. Excuse me, kitchen.
Yeah,
It's the living room, dining room, and then there's workshops right here. Things coming from the area where they come all the dolls out here. They come with all the babies that you want one baby, two babies, three babies. That little one, that great one.
Miremos las montañas y los ríos.
Todo es típico.
Sí.
Estos son los cueros de la oveja.
This is what's been true, I was never looking in here. Yeah. But we're not buying it to pay What's a bunch of sweets
Questa è la sua porzione e da questa si deve diventare secondo yeah, they're going to the community. There's this video.
Probably fed the family for a week. Mum, she's really
So, of course, the town has got its own plaza, and then this so-called fortress on Yantaidam has got its own plaza, now used as a parking lot here. The whole of the plaza is still surrounded by all these original Inca walls. You can see the Inca walls right here. Yeah. Of course, the roofs are not the original ones. Those are funny-looking roofs, and in place up there just to protect the surviving walls. They would just come into this place, and you got all these terraces over here. All these terraces had a twofold purpose. They were used as production terraces, but at the same time they were used as walls of defense. And then at the very top, of course, you have the barracks. Different though, on that left side out there, that was the religious part of Ollantaytambo. They were constructing a temple up on top, but they never finished constructing that temple. But if you look at the stone masonry, then you're going to be able to see that the stone masonry changes and it gets finer and finer as we go. And that's usually the case when you see Inca architecture. When you have some like here, good stones with some clay mortar in between, it's probably just a normal building. But then when the stones get to be well fitted together, and especially like here, when the whole of this stone fits perfect, then you are in an area that's most of the time is a temple or a palace out here. So it gives you an idea where you're going. So here you got all these farming terraces, and then over to that side you got some more farming terraces. And as a matter of fact, the farming terraces go all the way up to the gorge out there. Even though this was meant as a place of refuge and it was meant to protect the town out there, we never had any problems until the Spanish arrived. Only in 1536, when we rebelled against the Spanish, our rebellion was dispersed in Cusco, and we retreated from Cusco into this place over here, and we stayed here for something like a year and a half fighting the Spanish. Of course, I mean, like the Spanish were never able to take over this place. It's just incredible, this fortress here. But then the Incas in this place learned about some more Spanish reinforcements coming this way to help the Spanish Incas. So the Incas here decided to leave this place and just went down into the Amazonic jungle. And out there in the jungle area, they founded a stronghold of the Incas, a last capital of the Incas, that was later confused with Machu Picchu. That was the only time where any kind of fighting took place here. Apart from that, this was not used as a fortress in any sense. These terraces that you see here are different from the ones that we saw from the bus. These are known as high prestige terraces, like the kind of terraces that we see on that mountain, we saw on the mountainside in Pisac. When the terraces are part of a settlement, like here, they are just more elaborate. They are higher, they are long, they are shorter, and they are very flat, like here. And of course, the terraces had different purposes, like here also as being walls of defense. It's said that for the construction of Ollantaytambo, the Incas hired some labor from the late Titicaca area. So when you look at the stone masonry here, you find these late Titicaca or Tiahuanaco techniques. Like this stone here in the center, you got all those notches out there, those vertical cuts, horizontal cuts out there, and the stones always seem to have all of these notches that would fit into each other. That's Tiahuanacan technique right there. Once again, when you look at these stones, you have to remember that all they had to work on the stones was stone hammers and axes, bronze chisels, and probably lots of elbow grease whitening, just to work on this stone. But that's all they had. And the stones like this one over here is about the hardest type of stone you can find. That's granite. The same with these stones right here, and they did all of those carvings here. 500 years later, all of these corners are true corners right there, just because it's a hard type of stone. And most of Ollantaytambo is built of it, especially the upper part. And in all of these Inca places, you always find a place where the Incas worship the water. And that's what we're going to see up there. Let's go over to that side. You're going to be able to see this place. And they had all these places where they worship water, like here. This must have been a pretty important place for the Incas to build the whole business structure just around this pool over here. And in all the Inca places, you always find this pool. Not just one, isolated one. They usually find all these series of pools. Like here in Ollantaytambo, we got some like 3-4 series of 4-5 pools. The water from these pools will goes underground to some other pools on the other side out here. The Incas believed in the ritualistic movement of water, and thus they feed the flood water into pools, into underground canals, into zigzag canals, and so on. It was a way of worshiping water, and also it was a way of prompting rain, which is something they needed. We don't know that much about the actual ritual to worship the water, because the early Spanish writers didn't want to write about these pagan practices, especially because the first chroniclers, the so-called chroniclers, were priests that had come with the conquistadors. But in spite of that, there are some records. Some of these records say that whenever they worshiped the water in a place like this, you could see a young couple of children, or a couple of young children, a boy and a girl. The boy dressed like an Inca soldier, and the girl dressed like an Inca princess. And the girl would be holding a pottery vessel full of chicha, which means beer, and the two of them would approach the pool, and the girl would just pour the chicha into the pool. And immediately after that, she would just fill up her jar with water from the pool. And then after that, the boy and the girl were married, ceremoniously speaking, and the girl would just sprinkle water onto the ground. And the idea was that the girl represented the moon, the boy represented the sun, and the two of them together would fertilize the Mother Earth. And then after that, a llama was sacrificed. A llama was sacrificed to the pool, and the blood when the llama was smeared or anointed on the foreheads of all the present people and also the kids. And then some blood was poured. Excavated all of this out of the ground. It's all covered here. And most of this was inhabited by the local people. Like out there, you can see that it's probably like some of the kitchens out there, stuff like that. You still see the seats from there. Little by little. You can follow me up to a certain point, whenever you feel that you can't do it, it's just coming down. But who knows, you might be with me all the way up to the top. Pounding over these stones there. That's granite.
So, did that bit look into that at some stage?
Not here. But usually you get pieces like that that fit into each other. But not in this case, they are just two separate stones. As a matter of fact, we have to stand in front of these farming terraces. Whenever they build the terraces, we don't know if they started cutting the mountain at the top or at the bottom. Probably just depends on the specific case. But after they have cut the mountain and the steps like here, what they would do is just they would build a stone wall to the side, like here, like there, and then they would scoop out the dirt in between because it was mountain soil, not that good soil. It was scooped out and was replaced by good soil on the you can see lawn fire. The only thing that's truly theirs is their social organization and the trapezoidal. Another thing that you can see from here is the mountain with all the warehouses. And if you look at the left of that good example of warehouses, then you'll see something protruding from the mountain. And it actually looks like a face with an eye, the mouth, and green is kind of clear there in the middle of it, can you see? And then on top there's some like four towers that look like a crown. The local people refer to it as the face of the Inca, and they believe that the Incas did it on purpose. They believe that they wanted to represent the god of flame.
That's fine. Those little steps are for going up to the next terrace for the workmen.
That's all right.
We were going to wave goodbye to you.
Were you? How does that work?
That was the restriction. Richard seen it.
He's still playing.
Road again to board the train very early in the morning. Our train departs at 6:30 in the morning. So it's going to be a 4:30 wake-up call, and we're going to be leaving the hotel at 5:30, right? Sorry about that. Anyway, it's gonna get more civilized after we get in Cusco. The next day, we're leaving at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's up like an hour and a half from here, so we should be in Machu Picchu by 8 o'clock. And then we're going to be returning in the afternoon early also. So we're going to be back in Cusco by 5:15, 5:30. That gives you some extra time in Cusco. It's going to take us all the way to the station, and then it's going to stay at the station there. It's going to wait for us in the afternoon when we come back. So your luggage is going to be on the bus, and if you want to leave anything on the bus, no problem, because in the afternoon it's going to be there waiting for us. We're not going all the way back to Cusco by train. We're coming back to Ollantaytambo, and then in Ollantaytambo we're going to board the bus again, and the coach is going to take us all the way back to Cusco.
¿En qué idioma estás? 25 people doing this with me, and these people have been taught by us, and the technique that we use is based on this research. We paint and design with mineral oxides before the pieces go in the kiln, and to get this smooth finish, which is not glazed on the surface, we varnish with stones. We use lots of semi-precious stones or regular stones to make the minerals become part of the pieces. That's why we can get this smooth finish. The designs come from the different Peruvian cultures, mainly from the coast, which are the cultures we can find the most in all pieces and textiles, until the Inca, which was the last one. The glazes we are using are lead-free, and the clays from the area. We prepare our own clay now, and we are also now preparing our new glazes because we cannot find too many materials now in Peru. We only can find white and transparent, and now we are working our own.
I can always, we can always use Mexican. Muy bien.
What's that?
We ever thought you'd like one?
I would love to give it a try.
Tuesday, whatever date in July. We are about to board the train to Machu Picchu. I think it's about an hour and a half. And it's very cool.
Archaeological park of Machu Picchu. And then on that side, on the mountain, at the foot of the mountain, you're going to be able to see the remains of this Inca settlement. Better view after the tunnel over here. That's known as Nyakta Pata out here. And of course, I mean, like, at this point is where you start climbing up the mountain on this last bit of the Inca Trail. The first one that drew a map of that settlement was Bingham. Bingham was on his way to discover Machu Picchu along the river, and he found the town out there, and he drew a map of it, right? Then in the 70s, British archaeologists restored the whole of the place. Actually, she's written a book about the Incas, everyday life of the Incas, a book that's printed in London and you can buy it. Her name is Anne Kendall. So you usually get off at this point, cross the bridge, you go back to that settlement and up the mountain, and 3 days you get to Machu Picchu.
Project Kutek set about designing the wall. It is a typical construction of the imperial period. We fitted towering walls and stone frames that were carved and polished with extraordinary skill. No one has managed to discover the source of these springs, but it is clear that they never run dry. All year long.
Actually, you're going to be able to see Inca terraces all along till we get to Machu Picchu.
Of their ancient gods. This sacred stone is surrounded by a great semicircle that looks rather like an amphitheater. Where religious ceremonies were held. In around 1450, Pachacutic Inca Yupanqui, 9th Inca rulers, and his stonemasons begin the construction of the vast temple which he wished to be used to celebrate the victorious wars of conquest being waged by his son, Cuba Peru. Solid and featured simple lines. There is no direct translation. Some which is site of the ruins of the Temple of the Sun. Their sun god. The 6 blocks of red or white stone.
The mountain of Machu Picchu is sort of round that corner there and then right up. You can't actually see the mountain from this position. That's why we go by coach. What's the date today?
Wednesday the 18th today
18th.
of July.
July.
And we're just
It's
about
2000. Year 2000.
Yeah,
Still
we're all
still
here too. Standing here shivering. Man at work.
Not now.
That's what we're talking about as a tablecloth. Oh, could be a bed there. Right.
Those are the little coaches that are going to take us up to the top. No tarred roads here. This is just as nature intended. Holding on tight. There's a whole series of hairpin bends.